right, everybody. I want to toss this up on the screen just to get it started. Something new I'm doing here, just enjoying giving you a little start to the day. See how things are going. Put that in the chat there. 1 through 5. How do you feel on a scale of 1 to pun of the week? 1, 2, 3. I'm fantastic. I'm feeling positive. I'm not so good. I'm feeling blue. I'm feeling crabby. What's your morning look like here? Hopefully we don't have any crabbies, but some people don't get up and well in the morning. So Sid's trying to finish breakfast. That's why he's not so good. He hopes to be a lot better in just a short time there. A lot of threes popping up, few fours. You'd hope with daylight savings time, maybe it'd be closer to a 2. Just because the sun's already up this morning. There's some 2s coming in there. So I think I'm sitting at about a 2. I'd like to be a 1. I'll be a 1 in a little bit. Once I get my breakfast, I guess maybe I'll be. I'm feeling about a 2. I'm feeling positive about the day so far. Anyway, just something kind of fun. All right, everybody. Well, I haven't had a chance to really browse all the assignments, but last week was just a multiple choice assignment. So hopefully everything went well with that. Hopefully you're right up to speed and doing well. We don't have to spend a lot of time today in class because we don't have anything new to learn. We'll go check out Buzz here in just a moment, see what we have this week. And programming. All right. So if we get to programming, so we have the Module 2 project this week in programming. So that will finish up our second module. So we'll be starting our graphics before we got the first semester final exam on the screen now. So this is in December. It'll be due the 20th. So we got just a few weeks to do graphics, turtle graphics. But we're in the Module 2 project this week. And so I have taken that and I printed it out. I do have the template in Google Classroom. If we go here to the activity screen and look down at the 2.06 project, there's not a lesson to go with it because this is just wrapping up what we've done. This one has just one page right there. It says complete the reading and the lesson. There's no lesson here. Practice using Python. Here's the assignment template right here. So here's the template in Buzz, and it's a little longer because you have choices this time. So I went ahead and I've printed it out for our class purposes so we can take a look at it. But here's the rubric. If you want to see how it's graded, here's the rubric. 30 points on using the software development lifecycle that we just learned about. So make sure you've got all your planning. You've got your pseudocode that shows your input, calculations, and output. Your code reflects the pseudocode. It should match. Your code should match your pseudocode. And for that, if you planned to put this input statement there, I should find an input statement in your code that you've done testing to find the bugs, and maintenance includes thoughtful answers to each question because there's more questions this week. 20 points for your design, which means you got your name and date, your comments have the purpose, you've indented it properly, you use meaningful variable names, meaningful. It runs, there's no errors, and it does what it's supposed to do, produces the expected results. And then 50 points for your content, which means your code matches what your plan was in the pseudocode. You have your main function. You use float, integer, and string functions properly for whichever ones you need in your program. The input function is used at least 3 times, and the results are clearly printed to the screen. So that's worth half the points right there and making sure you include everything correctly. So let's see, what are we going to have to do, Mr. Brock? Well, let's take a look at that. Okay, it looks a little wonky. Let's get that. That's a little better. Okay. I printed out a paper because I want to be able to just highlight and point out some things. All right, so Module 2 project, step 1. This has 5 steps this time. We're going up here. Choose one. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to emphasize. Choose one because you have options. Option 1. You get to decide what kind of program you're writing this time based on these 3 choices. Yeah. All right. I'm going to move that. All right. Have your eye on a new gadget, a new game, maybe some new clothes? Here's your chance to create a program. Here we go. Create a program that calculates the cost of 3 items on your wish list, including tax and shipping. So here are the steps to begin your pseudocode, begin your planning. All right. Create a wish list by selecting, and that you're actually just doing one paper. That's not part of your program. Create a wish list by selecting at least 3 items you want. Do your research. Find online stores where you can actually purchase them and record the price. So recording the price is important because you're going to need that for your program. You need 3 items and you need to record the price of those as you're doing your research there. All right. Think about what user input is required because you need to have input statements. Think about how you'll write an equation to, you go, calculate the subtotal of your 3 items, right? That's without tax. Then calculate the tax and the total purchase cost with tax and shipping. All right, here's the key right here. Everybody's going to use 6.5% tax, which is way lower than we're actually paying, and $5.99 flat rate shipping. So it doesn't matter how much the items cost. This is what you're going to use: $5.99 shipping and 6.5%. Now, some of you are thinking, okay, how do I do 6.5% and multiply it? Well, let's talk about that real quick. For those of you that struggle with percentages, if I have the subtotal and I multiply, here we'll say tax equals the subtotal times 0.065, because 0.065 is the same as 6.5%. So that's the decimal use. Whatever your subtotal is times 0.065 will give you the amount of tax. All right. And of course, there's nothing to calculate there. You're just adding the shipping. The output must include. Okay, must include. That's important. What do I need to have for my printout? All right, you have to have the name of each item. So if I chose this number 1 option, maybe I would have the person input the 3 items they want. Think about your input. You got to have at least 3 inputs. Remember, so we saw that on the rubric. Name of each item. Maybe they're entering the price as well. Maybe you say, what do you want first on your list? How much does it cost? What do you want second on your list? How much does it cost? What do you want third on your list? How much does it cost? And then from there, you can add them together, calculate the tax, add the shipping, and have all that. So when you print it, name of each item, the item price, you have to print the subtotal. Then you have to print the tax and the shipping and the total purchase cost. All right, so it'd be like getting a receipt. The receipt, like you go to Walmart and you buy stuff, it'll have the name of each item and the item price. At the bottom, there's the subtotal and the tax. There's no shipping on that, but I mean the shipping fee if you order it online and the total cost. So that's what your output should look like. And here's a little table you can use to just take your notes. I'm going to add my things on here. When you do your research and find your online items, here's a place that they gave you on the template where you can record that. You don't have to use this. This is not graded. This is just for your use. All right, so that's option number 1. You say, okay, well, what else can I do? All right, here's a totally different program you can write. Like I said, you've got choices. This one's called Let's Eat, option number 2. Everyone loves eating at restaurants. I do too much of that. So you're going to create a program that'll calculate the total cost of a meal that has an appetizer, an entree, a drink, and a dessert. And you're going to do a 6.5% tax and a 20% tip. Instead of a shipping, it's 20%. So this is going to be calculated. So again, you got the tax equals your subtotal times 0.065, because we got the same tax rate. And then the tip And you can do the tip before tax. If you want to add the tax in there, you can. Subtotal times 20%. As a decimal, that's 0.2. So this is the decimals you should use right there. You can use whatever variable names you're using. I just wrote this down. Whatever variable you use for subtotal, whatever variable you want to call tax and tip. Tax and tip's not a bad name for a variable. Okay, so here's your planning. And again, they gave you a place if you want to plan these things. You can do it right here on this template, but you don't have to. Like, again, this is not graded. So you're going to have appetizer, entree, drink, and dessert. Do your research. Again, do your research. Find the menu for your favorite restaurant. They're all available online. You can go online. So record the prices of your chosen menu items. So you can go and actually pull prices out of here. Again, think about what user input, because you need at least 3 things input, which means maybe you're going to have the user. What appetizer would you like? What entree would you like? What drink would you like? What dessert would you like? And you could, however you want to do it, you can have them enter the price for each one. You can say, appetizers are $5 or $5.99. What appetizer would you like? Entrees all cost $13.99. What entree would you, however you want to do that, but you need an item and a price.
Mr. Brock?
Yes.
Why are we listing out like what we want if we have to do what they want?
Well, that's a good question, because basically this is so you can run the program and test it. You're gonna enter the 4 things and test it. They would probably enter something else if he was actually using this out in public. But we're going to pretend you're the user right now. Also, you're writing it and you're testing it. So you would need 4 items to do just to make sure it works. So think about how you'd write an equation to calculate, which I've done already up here, because you got to calculate the subtotal. Subtotals, just add them together, right? Add those 4 things together, and that's your subtotal. And the tax, tip, and total cost. So here's what you're going to have in the output. All right, output. You have to have the name of all 4 things. And that's why you're researching it, because your output should have what the user enters. Name of the appetizer, entree, drink, and dessert, including the prices. So it should list the price of each thing. Your subtotal for the meal, your tax, your tip, and the total cost. So this is your second option. It's a lot like the first option. It's a lot like this one, except this one's just doing things you want to buy, and this one is food you want to buy, right? So just giving you a different option. You have one more down here. If you don't like either one of those, you can venture out on your own. Programmer's adventure. If you want the journey of the road less traveled, create your own program option. So this is a chance to do whatever you want to do, as long as your output has the following. It has names and values and calculations, right? Like, I have had people do this, like a mini vacation. Calculate the cost of a 2-day, 1-night vacation with airfare, lodging, and 2 meals per day. Calculate the total percentage of savings on 3 grocery items with coupons. I haven't had anyone do that one. Calculate total profit or loss of stock of your choice for 5 days for someone who owns 1,000. So there's options. It just has to include the right things. So here's the things that it has to have. All right. Step 2, design. You have to have input statements, at least 3. Numerical values. They have to enter numbers in, right? And so that means you would need to use either integer or float, depending on whether it has a decimal in it. And if you're doing costs, you're probably going to have a decimal in it, right? Because most items you buy are like $12.98 or something. All right, you have to have calculations to achieve the correct output, right? Any appropriate math functions, calculating tax, calculating shipping, adding items together, whatever math function you need to use. So you need to have calculations required to achieve the correct output. And output has to be clear and well-organized output to share the data and the results. and use the string function, of course, when you're printing numbers in a print statement. So in this one, you kind of got an idea what you would have to have if you write your own program. You got to have some items and their prices, the subtotal, and then the things that are added on, tax or tip. So if you design your own, you just have to make sure you meet the same type of requirements that we're doing on the other ones. You know, costs, values. So you know the basics of what the program is looking for. All right, and so then insert your pseudocode right there. There's a place on the template to put your plan, your pseudocode right there. Then, as usual, step 3, coding. Use Python. Make sure you have your name, date, and a short description of the program. Indentation, use of white space, the usual stuff, meaningful variable names. That's all, every program. Here's some examples of what's been done, what's been turned in for this from other people. Time to shop Etsy. So here's 3 items: brass duck bookends, crocheted flamingo embroidered bow tie, $55.75, $25, $34.98. Subtotal, tax, shipping, order total. And yeah, it's going to put more decimals. We're not worried about that right now. And then they put a little thank you for shopping. It's time for a mini vacay. Here's someone did that. Your vacation expenses to St. Augustine. Airfare, hotel, meals, total. Enjoy your trip. All right. Then the template has your code. Insert, copy, and paste your code from idle here. Now, look here. This is why there's 5 steps, because we have 2 sets of questions. We have testing questions and maintenance questions. All right, so 2 questions here. What bugs did you identify in your code? What errors did it have when you were trying to run? And how did you fix them? Right, got those. And then down here is a maintenance question. What design and functionality improvements could you make? Can you think of a way the program could be better? Now, you may not know how to make those improvements. Now, that's okay. If you don't know how, you say, well, this would be better if it could do this, right? Because we don't know that much programming yet, but what can make it better? How can you get feedback on ways to improve your program? Yeah, if you actually put this program out there and let some restaurant use it or let some store use it, how would you get feedback to know how to improve your program? How can you expand your program into a new, better program? And what's the potential bug that users could encounter if it's expanded? So this takes a little more thinking, but we got to think about maintenance, that if we actually had a program out there, these are things we'd be thinking about, because we would provide updates to our program and all, looking for feedback and that kind of thing. So that's it. That's the last page. So that's our template. It is in Google Classroom. Just want to show you, but you have options this week. Options. So you can use one of the 2 options they gave you, either a shopping list or a restaurant, or just make up your own idea on what you'd like to do, as long as you're doing 3 input statements, some kind of calculations, and outputting everything line by line with each item and cost, along with the total cost on that. So you get an idea of what it's looking for. But if you have trouble with that, let's see. I think this is an 8. I better check real quick. Hold on. This is an 8A. So let me. All right. This is an 8A week on Friday. That's actually good, because Wednesday I'm not going to be here. I have to go with an Algebra 2 teacher group meeting all day. All the Algebra 2 teachers are getting together and talking about curriculum. So, okay. Oh, thank you, Zachary, for answering Serenity's question. Is subtotal and total the same? Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Subtotal is before tax and shipping, right? Subtotal is just adding up the items. So subtotal and total are different. So Friday is when you can come get help. If you're having problems with this, if you're having errors, if you're just stuck and don't even know what to write next, come see me on Friday. We can go through this together. I can help you and give you ideas and help you fix errors and that kind of thing. But Wednesday, we will not have class because I will not be here. So I'll send an email reminder for everybody so you can see that Wednesday is not a possibility, but we do have Friday, so that's good. All right, guys, any questions? Well, I'm going to be reviewing the math module project because I've had a request for that. So anybody that wants some help with the math module, if you haven't turned that in, we're going to look at that. But otherwise, you're done for today. So you're free to go.